For example, Sarki Lake, which was rejuvenated about 3 years back. Within a year, groundwater table went up by 320 feet. And today, when most part of the city is facing the severe water crisis, you will see enough water in this Sarki Lake. And surrounding, in addition to this, you see that the BWSSP, I do not know who gave the permission to them to discharge the untreated sewage into the stormwater drain, which is an offence. 60% of the water comes from Kaveri. Unfortunately, we have mismanaged the Kaveri. We have mismanaged the landscape of entire earth. When the water is not there in the tap, when there is no water in the ground, it clearly shows that how corrupt our system has become. Environmental literacy seems to be the major problem with us. We do not know how to manage solid waste, liquid waste, or from where we get water. That means 96% of Bangaloreans do not know how to manage the water from where we get. Earlier leader had a vision. The vision is to meet the demands of the society and make everyone happy. Today's leaders have a mission to loot.
Hello, Namaskara. Welcome to Akki Studio with me, Ritu Dravid. I am at the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, at the Center for Ecological Sciences to talk to Professor T.V. Ramachandra. A warm welcome to you, sir. So we're here to discuss about the current crisis that Bangalore is facing, the water crisis, sir. And not only water scarcity, but also the drinking water crisis that the entire city and the state is facing. So I want your comments on this, sir, to start with.
See, one other thing what I have noticed, the main reason for the Bangalore water crisis is the consequence of the unplanned urbanization that is happening in the city since 1990s. With the globalization and consequent industrialization, the city landscape, which was porous earlier, has become paved surface. Using remote sensing data with artificial intelligence and machine learning, we have analyzed the data, which shows that the city landscape of 740 square kilometer had 68% vegetation cover in 70s and less than 8% is a paved surface. And today, 2023 or 24, it is 86% is paved surface. And we have vegetation less than the 4%. If you look at over the last 5 decades, there has been a 1,055% increase in the concrete area or the paved surface, and we have lost 88% of vegetation cover and 79% of water spread area. This is the main cause for the water crisis in the region. That's mainly because the Bangalore depends on Kaveri to water. We require about 18 TMC of water. 60% come from Kaveri. Remaining 40% is met from the groundwater, the sources. That's where for the groundwater sources to augment the water, the landscape has to be porous. The city receives the rainfall of 700 to 850 millimeter annually. If you harvest that rainwater, we have 15 TMC of water, which means 70% of the water required for Bangalorean is available in the form of rainwater. Now, the best option for the city is to catch rainwater. There are two options for rainwater harvesting. One is at the individual level, household level. They can have the rooftop harvesting, which will give additional 4 to 5 months of water. The next best option is to retain the rainwater in the lakes. If we can rejuvenate the lake and re-establish the interconnectivity among the lake, then we have solved the problem of the water in the city. For example, Sarki Lake, which was rejuvenated about 3 years back. Within a year, groundwater table went up by 320 feet. And today, when most part of the city is facing the severe water crisis, you will see enough water in this Sarki Lake, and surrounding groundwater is also very good. groundwater table is good. And because of that higher moisture content in the environment, you see the temperature in the Sarki Lake catchment area is at least 2 to 3 degrees Celsius lower than the surrounding area. So that means the lakes are required for the city like Bangalore. Lakes are quite, it meets the water requirement of the Bangalorean to the 70%. Apart from that, it moderates the microclimate. And also if you visit the Sarki Lake in the morning or in the evening, you will see large number of birds. That means it also supports the biodiversity. That is the model to be replicated in the city. We need to have the groundwater recharge through the lake rejuvenation. See, when you do the lake rejuvenation...
About lake rejuvenation, Bangalore was once a land of 1,000 lakes. Now we have only 200 left and maybe 17 good lakes. So we have seen the death of these lakes. So how do you, say that, through we can, basically implement, solutions through lake rejuvenation, sir?
See, one is the Bangalore way back in 1800, we had 1,452 water bodies. All of them are natural because when the river was passing through the region, our elders just put the bunds at a regular interval, converted that moving water into the stagnant water body which could meet the irrigation and drinking water requirement. But over a period of time, we have lost the interconnectivity among the lake. That is because of the encroachment of the Rajakalwe and mismanagement of stormwater drain by BWSSB as well as BBMP. BBMP is supposed to maintain the stormwater drain. They are not doing it. They have allowed the encroachment. They have allowed the solid waste dumping in the stormwater drain. In addition to this, you see that the BWSSB, I do not know who gave the permission to them to discharge the untreated sewage into the stormwater drain, which is an offence. As per the Water Act, they should be held responsible for polluting our the water bodies, which is we are giving the water to the 40% of the Bangaloreans. So we should take action on them. See, that can happen only when the communities and community participation happens. People's participation is a very crucial role in management of the natural resources. For example, Sarki Lake is a good example of the community participation. There are educated section of society and all the classes of society, they got together and they got the rejuvenation. They pressurized the government to rejuvenate. They ensured that encroachments are removed. They also made sure that water is treated and the treated water passed through the wetland and get into the lake. And there is not much contaminant in the lake today. The similar model in the Jakkur Lake we had implemented about 10 years back or 12 years back. Jakkur Lake, when in 2005 my study shows Jakkur Lake and surrounding the lake area, there were 25 wells were there. All of them had nitrate. Nitrate is a carcinogen which introduces cancer. Nitrate comes into the groundwater because people are letting the sewage, untreated sewage into the lake. So then we pressurized the government to rejuvenate the lake. I was in the committee and Yellappa Reddy was the chairman of the committee. So at that time government gave the money which is insufficient to have the tertiary treatment plant, but the money was given was for the secondary treatment plant. See, when you look at the water treatment, wastewater treatment, it has 3 levels: primary, secondary, tertiary. Primary treatment will remove the large particle, secondary treatment will remove the chemical ion, tertiary treatment will remove the nutrient. Now the problem in Jakkur Lake and surrounding area is the nutrient problem. That is, the nitrate is the consequence of the nutrient getting into the water body. That means we need to have a tertiary treatment. Then what I did was I integrated the constructed wetland and algal pond along with the secondary treatment plant. And we monitored this system for the last 12 or 13 years now. And you see that today there are 300 wells are there and lake water also. None of them have nitrate. That means this is the model to treat the wastewater in the region. Now the Bangalore city, if it is using 18 TMC of water, we are generating 18 TMC of wastewater. If we treat it, we have 16 TMC of water. That means 15 TMC because of the rainwater harvesting, 16 TMC because of the wastewater treatment. That means we have 31 TMC of water. This model will work only when there is a participation by all the stakeholders. That can happen.
But the BWSSB has implemented this.
Well, BWSSB has not done it. It is not done by BWSSB. It is done by the other agencies, the custodian of the lake. like forest department.
But they are supplying about 62 lakh liters to, the real estate sectors, or those
See,
coming
that
up
is
with
the-
new buildings, etc.
that is the-
recycled water.
No, that is the recycled water which is being given, but it all happened because of our consistent pressurizing the system. That is where earlier they were thinking that investing on, the putting money for the wastewater treatment is a waste of money.
Okay.
That was the attitude the bureaucracy had, but because of our consistent pressure, that made the system to work. And today the Bangalore seems to be better compared to the other cities as far as the wastewater treatment is concerned. But still there is a large gap. The wastewater what we are treating is not being used efficiently. It should have been used for, one is to like Jakur model to fill the lake. The second is the watering the plants, and it could be reused in the industries, etc. That where you could have reduced the burden on the city. Now coming to the other part, 60% of the water comes from Kaveri. Unfortunately, we have mismanaged the Kaveri. We have mismanaged the landscape of entire earth. Everywhere there is a land degradation is happening, there is a deforestation is happening in the name of, because of the globalization, and everyone wants to improve the GDP. They think that if the GDP is higher, everyone would be happy. But unfortunately, the GDP is an erroneous metrics. Having higher GDP also involves the losing the ecologically fragile regions. That means the GDP does not take into account the degradation cost of our lifeline support systems like forest, water bodies, etc. That's where we need to change this GDP. We need to have green GDP, which is also called gross ecosystem product. Okay. So once we do that, then we will have a development which makes people happy and healthy. Otherwise the kind of problems the Bangaloreans are facing.
So how do we change that?
That is where the natural capital accounting has to happen, and valuation ecosystem services have to happen. See, I have worked on the forest sector and the wetlands of Bengaluru and other parts of Bangalore. We have done that valuation. When the lake is not polluted, it gives us the tangible benefits in the form of fish, the fodder, the water, etc. to an extent of about 10,500 rupees per hectare per day. When we pollute the lake, the value of that, the worth of the lake comes down to 20 rupees per day per hectare. Now, when you look at who are the people who depend on the lake, fishermen, farmers, washerwomen, like that. That section of the society are deprived of their right to live by pollution. The BWSSP is affecting because of their irresponsible action of discharging the untreated the sewage into this lake. They are affecting the livelihood of this vulnerable section of the society.
So you're talking only about Bangalore city, the lakes in Bangalore city. What about tier 2, tier 3 cities?
No, first we'll think about the Bangalore.
Okay.
Because the severity of the situation is Bangalore. Other cities, the other towns, is because there is some amount of the water they are not facing, because there is some amount of desilting has happened. People know how to manage the lake and all. That is where sustaining the water there. If you look at our country, our elders created the water bodies mainly to meet the irrigation and domestic water drains. The drier district had higher number of water bodies. Higher number of water bodies indicate there was a water stress, and they realized that rainwater harvesting through the lake is the best option. They never thought about bringing water from faraway places. When colonial rulers entered our country, they wanted to loot. That's where they came up with the large-scale project. They killed our decentralized the management of natural resources. That's what Mahatma Gandhi ji talks about, Surajya, Swarajya, which means the management, prudent management of natural resources. We should have done that. But unfortunately, after independence, we have the bureaucrats who have the colonial mindset. Their attitude, like the Britishers are colonial rulers, is to loot. The looting is happening in all front. That is where we are paying the price. Second thing is, there is a lack of competent people in the system.
Are you blaming the government, sir?
One is, the thing is, I would say that consequence of why the unplanned urbanization has happened, because there are no people to plan. That means we do not have the competent people in the system. What is the point in having everywhere IIS officers? We need to have a subject experts. There are other services, civil services like engineering services, etc. Had BWSSB run by the subject professional with IIS or this one, would have run the system better. He or she wouldn't have allowed the water body getting contaminated, because he or she will know the implication of the water body getting polluted because of the sustained discharge of untreated wastewater. We have the current, the BWSSB personnel. The lakes like Bengaluru and Vartur is being rejuvenated. I am part of the NGT and the part of the expert committee. I was told that the BWSSB want to discharge the partially treated wastewater into the Bengaluru and Vartur lake, which is still under rejuvenation. This is a most unfortunate thing. Okay. Then the second statement of the BWSSB was, they said that they will connect pipe to all the apartment and collect that rainwater and leave it to the lake. I said that stormwater drains is supposed to do the job. Okay. We kill the stormwater drain by discharging the polluted, the wastewater, untreated wastewater, and then we allow the blockage of the thing and allow the encroachment to happen, and then come up with another mechanism. This is only to siphon off public money. Not, say, had we the restore or the interconnectivity among the lake, rainwater would have flowed. There is no need for the putting additional pipe. See, this all illogical thing, irresponsible actions are happening only to siphon off the money. And that is also happening mainly because, in democracy, there are four pillars: the judiciary, the media, along with that you have legislative and the executive. The day when these components, meddle with the other, then we have the inefficient or the uncoordinated action happens. For example, legislative system should never interfere in the executive mechanism. So the day when the legislator, their job is to do the legislation, not get into the action, executive. Right. The day when they start fiddling in the executive thing, there is a mismanagement happening. That's where the white topping and the lakes are converted into cement bowl, and stormwater drains in the name of remodeling. They are altering the hydrological aspect of the stormwater drain. See, any stormwater drain, to do the hydrological function, has to be natural. We should not concretize the thing. In the name of remodeling, BBMP is concretizing the drain. That is mainly to siphon off the public money, because every kilometer of concretization, 8 crore is spent. When there is a large scale money, there is also filterages happens in the system. That is the agenda. For example,
so are they not implementing the strategies and the solutions that experts like you from
for example,
IISc?
Before that, for example, between Bengaluru and Nagaram Lake, the width of the drain was 60 to 80 meter. Mm-hmm. Today, it has become 18.5 meter in the name of remodeling. Not only they concretize the drain, they also narrow the drain. So when they narrow the drain, they are helping the real estate mafia in the vicinity.
So is the government hand in glove with them?
Bureaucracy has a hands in the thing. We have to make them accountable, and there has to be a transparent mechanism in the system. Lack of accountability in the system and transparency in the system is the root cause of our problem. I would say that when the water is not there in the tap, when there is no water in the ground, it clearly shows that how corrupt our system has become. Okay, in the name of remodeling, they change the integrity of the drain between Bengaluru and Nagaram. Now the consequence of that is the Koramangala got flooded. When Koramangala people were agitated, what BBMP did? They put one more drain parallel to the earlier drain. See, now in the name of remodeling, they siphoned off the money from the public money. Then also they made money from the real estate mafia. Then in addition to that, while laying a new drain, again some more money is spent or mismanaged. So this is the problem. Coming to your question about the institution like IISc, we have been working on various issues related to the Bengaluru and Western Ghats. And if you look at Kaveri Basin, Kaveri has a serious problem of land degradation and deforestation. Over the last 4.5 or 5 decades, we have lost 45% of the forest cover in the Kaveri Basin. And today we have only 18% of the forest cover. What should have been the forest cover in the region? Should have been 33%. When there are forest cover, with the native species of forest, our study shows the rivers and streams carry water 12 months, which means the rivers or streams are perennial when the catchment or the watershed area has the vegetation of native species. When we convert that vegetation into monoculture plantation like rubber, coffee or acacia or eucalyptus, the water retention in the stream or the river comes to 6 or 8 months. That means 4 to 6 months of water people lose. In the name of development, we remove the forest, convert into this plantation. But in the process, the large section of the villages get affected because of the loss of water for the 6 to 8 months. And similarly, when we degrade the catchment with a forest cover less than 30%, the water is available only during the monsoon. Now, if you want to see how it affects the livelihood of the people, the farmers in the vicinity of the forest with the native species, if they get water throughout the year, they grow multiple crop or a cash crop. Whereas in the other region where the water scarcity is there, they grow only one season crop. When they grow multiple crop, they earn 1,54,000 rupees per acre per year. Whereas in other region, they earn only 32,000 rupees per acre per year. Okay, that's the second thing. If you look at the yield of the crop, wherever native species forests are there, yield of the crop, for example, paddy, it is as high as 12 to 18 quintal per acre. Whereas in other region where the forests are not there, yield of the crop is 6 to 8 quintal per acre. When we probe that, the presence or absence of pollinators makes the difference. Pollinators like honeybees, butterflies, etc., when they are diverse and abundant, the pollination become efficient. When pollination become efficient, yield of the crop is high. As almost double in this one, 12 to 18 quintal compared to 6 to 8 quintal per acre. Now, 65% of our landscape is agrarian. And the government of India want to double the income of the farmers. My suggestion to the government of India is just maintain the forest integrity. The people get water, they get their life, their livelihood. So we need not do anything additional. Now with the changes in climate, due to global warming and with the deforestation, the global warming potential has increased. The carbon which was stored in the forests have got released to the system, and also the soil carbon is getting released into the system. In the process, the global warming is becoming much higher with a higher carbon emissions. At one end we talk about decarbonizing. The best way to remove the carbon from the system is through the vegetation and through the water body. Algae in the water bodies are the most efficient carbon sequesters. We don't require technology. These are simple things, cost effective. We should have done it so that everyone would have got their right for the water. Now we didn't do that. That is where unseasonal rainfall is happening.
Erratic rainfall.
Yeah,
patterns.
Erratic rainfall pattern. Not only that, we have noticed using the 122 years rainfall data, we analyzed in some of the river basin. Between 1901 and 1964, in some of the river basin, the rainfall was 3,000 to 4,500. Okay. Then after that, in the name of development, what changes have happened because of that construction of the dam, industries, etc. We lost the forest, etc. In the same region, where the forests were there, people were getting 3,000 to 4,500. Today, 1,700 to 1,900 millimeters. 50% reduction in the rainfall. They are the same rain catching region, and they get a orographic precipitation, but still the quantum of rainfall has come down in the one portion where the forests are removed, and the other portion of the river basin where forests are intact, we still get 3,000 to 4,500 millimeters. So which means we need to manage the watershed in our system, river basin. Then only we will have water in the river basin. We will have rainfall. With adequate rainfall, we will have water throughout the year. That is what has to be done. Otherwise, we will move towards the chaotic situation. Chaotic situation only help the politicians. When there is a water conflict, the politician get the benefit of that. That's why they want to keep this kind of conflict alive by mismanaging the watershed. We need to remove this. That is where the role of the stakeholders, or the party, the farmers and the other people in the region plays a very important role. When we assert, we will get what we want. When we do not assert, we will have the problem. For example, now the elections are happening. We need to make it a point, however busy we are, we should vote. Not only we vote, we should select the right person. And I have a suggestion to the government. Why not make the Aadhaar a mandatory for the voting? Those who do not vote, they should be tracked, and all the facility given to them has to be removed. Even at the FASTag, the toll, or any place, if they have not done the other, they should cancel the other. They should be asked to do the other again with a heavy penalty of 5,000 rupees. Then you see the voting percentage will increase in the country. When people start voting, they will assert. When they assert, we will have the right people in the place. The lack of voting has led to the corrupt people getting into the system. We need to remove the system. That can happen only with this kind of the system, where we have to make sure that things work in our country. That is where I would request the government to do that other mandatory for the voting, so that automatically the gaps in the system can be removed. Now, coming to the science and role of scientists in the system, see, we have been working as a watchdog. We have been alerting the government. I have been telling the government of Karnataka that Bangalore is dying. In 2016, I wrote an editorial in Current Science saying that if this trend continues, we are going to pay the heavy price in 2020 onwards. That prediction, the city which was livable has become unlivable. The city which had a porous surface became a paved surface in the name of the increasing the GDP, or the making Bangalore the Singapore. I was also excited when that chief minister, when he talked about Singapore. I thought that, okay, Bangalore might get the infrastructure and basic amenity to the equivalent to the Singapore. But I also realized there is a place called Singapura. When I go to the airport, I used to see Singapura, which was used for dumping the solid waste earlier in 90s. Okay. Today, the entire city has become Singapura. We are dumping the solid waste everywhere. This is again another indication of mismanagement of the natural resource. Because when the mismanaged solid waste, it is getting into the lake. It is getting to the lake bed. Look at the way the Rajakalways are mismanaged. If you go to the Mahadevapura or the Whitefield area, where the buildings are coming up, even the Yellam Mallappa Chatti lake, when you go there, there are two big builders competing with each other to encroach the Rajakalway by filling the buffer zone. Buffer zones are the flood plains. Flood plain have the hydrological function of act as a sponge and allow the water percolation and retain the water. But if we allow this kind of the filling of the buffer zone or the flood plain, only I can say the buffoons are there in the system. So that is mainly because people like us are keeping quiet. And the other thing is to have the informed decision making. We have made the data available to the public. We have created the portal called Bangalore Urban Information System, which gives the details about Bangalore, how Bangalore has changed over a period of time, the last 5 decades, and all the other data like industries and other infrastructure, tree cover in the region, lakes in the region. Similarly, we created a Bangalore Lake Information System, also acronym is BLISS, which provide the lake-wise the details of the physical and chemical and biological properties of the water body, the spatial extent of water body, and also the ecosystem services provided by the water body. As I gave an example of 10,500 in the case of Jakkur and Rachanhalli, or 20 rupees in the case of Amruthalli Leh, I thought that this kind of information, if it is available to the bureaucrats, they might do better planning for the city. But where are such bureaucrats? We do not have the bureaucrats who are capable. Most of the fellows, inefficient, incapable, incompetent. That is the root cause of any part of the India. See, we need to have changes in our executive mechanism. We need to bring talented youngsters into the system who feel for the region.
Right now, the crisis is about having a scarcity, right, or a shortfall in the water requirement. So, how much do you think is required for the city to? How much of water do you think is required for the city to be able to sustain, sir? And how do you bridge the gap between the shortfall and...
See, one is that today there is a severe water scarcity in Kaveri Basin. Instead of looking at that data and giving the picture.
And when you talk about river Kaveri, where a Bangalore city is totally dependent on that, and and the groundwater for its needs, but there is a conflicting thing happening between Karnataka and neighboring states. Right, so don't you think that is a hindrance again for scarcity of water?
See, river management or any hydrological system, we need to have efficient management systems. We lack that. We have a political system to administer the river basin. That is the root cause. See, if we have done the zonation of Bangalore based on the watershed boundaries, we would have managed the system better. Instead of that, we made entire Bangalore a one mayor who is incapable. So that's where the problem is. Similarly, coming to the river basin, what we should have done is the river basin level, we should have had a competent system which manage the thing, which gives the scientific input and the day-to-day management with the state-of-the-art technologies are there. Today with artificial intelligence and machine learning, you can provide lot of input to for the informed decision making. But that is not happening because of the colonial mindset bureaucrats who are inefficient, and because of lack of accountability and transparency in the system, we are paying the price.
Will that ever change, sir?
No, we will change. Okay. That's why people like us, you and me and the youngsters of today, if we start questioning a system, the changes will happen. Okay. That's how the system. See, we could throw the Britishers out of the country. What else? That shows the power of Indians. That is the power with all of us. We have that power, but we need to assert it. We need to assert it means we need to know what we are doing. That is one of the crucial things, environmental literacy. Environmental literacy seems to be the major problem with us. We do not know how to manage solid waste, liquid waste, or from where we get water. When I did a study of Bangalorean to find out what is the environmental literacy in the city, the general literacy is as high as 85.8%, okay, next to Mumbai. Whereas environmental literacy is only 3.5%. That means 96% of Bangaloreans do not know how to manage the water, from where we get the water, and how to manage the waste, and how to take care of the elders in the thing. They think the elders in Bangalore are the thing to be in the old age home. This all shows.
So what are the few tips, sir, that you can suggest to save water at least?
One is in a system.
Okay.
Science, society, culture and spirituality should go hand in hand for managing the natural resource. When we talk about the natural resource sustainability, when all these four pillars of the system start working together, you will see the no pollution, you will see the optimal management of the water bodies and the resources, the sustainable management of the resources. There is no scarcity of the thing. Now coming to your question of the scarcity of the water, see, one is the Kaveri, there is no thing. Let us stop misleading the public saying that we will give 2,600 MLD of water thing. That means either the person who is making the statement is incompetent or incapable or deliberately doing the thing. We should stop that. Second thing is we need to ask the people to be judicious while using the water. The conservation has to happen. The third thing is we need to treat the wastewater to a tertiary level, and we should provide that water to the public. If we don't do it, we will have a serious problem by discharging the partially treated water into the lake and to the borewell, because most of the water in the lake is being taken away by the water mafia through the borewells. They are giving the contaminated water into to the people. That is a serious thing. With that you will have more and more contagious diseases with increasing temperature. Already 36 or 37 degrees Celsius in Bangalore is a very appropriate temperature for the disease vectors to thrive. We will have the diseases in the system. That's one part. Second thing is the contaminant that is there in the water, like heavy metal. When we use this water for drinking or for growing the vegetable, for example, when I analyze the food what is grown in the vicinity of Vattur and Bellandur, or the fish that is grown in this Bellandur or Vattur lake, I saw the heavy metal in the food. That means the heavy metal getting into our food or a food chain is a serious matter. Consequence of that is we have a higher instances of cancer and kidney failure in the region. If you look at cancer, we are the number one among all the cities in India. And the respiratory diseases, we are again number one because our pollution is much higher than other cities. Then the third thing is the heavy metal getting into the water, the food, is that our kidneys are failing. I am seeing that kidney failure is increasing dramatically. What was 1 in 1 lakh about 12 years back, today it's 1 in 5,000. That is the contaminant getting into the water body and then to our food is crippling our system, and youth are affected. See, when I visit schools in the peri-urban area, in one of the school I saw the 8th standard kid having both the kidney not working. Okay. Then in another school in the same area, the LKG girl child had a problem with the kidney. One kidney was not working. In the same school, 8th standard kid had both the kidney had failed. And the security guard in the school also, who is from Nepal, he also had the kidney problem. After a year, when I visited school, I asked the principal, Mr. M.A. Khan of KK High School.
KK High School.
KK High School. I asked him about the child in the 8th. He said she is no more. Even the security guard who was in the age of 30 to 40 is no more. That means, the youth is an asset of the nation. We are making that section of the society vulnerable in the name of the development. In the chase for higher GDP, we are giving an unlivable city with a pollutant in the system, crippling the entire system. This is the problem, serious problem. Because of that, our bureaucrats also cannot think. Because of the pollution in the system, they cannot even think. That's why the wrong the statistics are provided and wrong assurances are given. See, my suggestion is, let us make bureaucrats accountable. Let us have a transparent system. Second thing is, let us make the city water sustainable. I have a 5R formula. First is, make environmental education mandatory at all level, and everyone should have the environmental knowledge. Second is, the rainwater harvesting, make it mandatory through the lakes and the rooftop harvesting. The wastewater treatment. If we do that with 31 TMC, we have a surplus situation. In a region where 18 TMC is required, you have a surplus sustainable solution.
Can you just elaborate about the rooftop harvesting?
See, rooftop harvesting, when we collect the water which falls in the roof, suppose you have the plot of 60 by 40, 2,400 square feet, and about 1 meter, you can store a water which is enough to meet the demand for the entire year. There are instances of people using the rainwater without BWSSB connection in a place like Basveshwar Nagar. The well-known rainwater harvesting expert, Shiv Kumar's house. Similarly, Vishwanath in this one in Vidyaranyapura is showing us the models which is working for the last 2 decades. That model has to be replicated. That's where we have to make it a mandatory to have the sump in every house with the rainwater storage. Along when they want BWSSB connection, we should make sure that they have the rainwater, this one as a mandatory. And the second thing is, we need to ensure that the dual plumbing happens so that this water can be used for gardening, car wash, as well as for the toilet and other purposes. See, that is where vision has to be there. And second thing is, we all should feel for our country and for our earth. We all have only one earth. We cannot abuse the mother earth and think of living for a longer time. When we don't do it, we are facing the problem as we are facing today. The Bangalore is today. I am not surprised. Most of the cities in the country is following the similar model. If you look at Chennai, it has a similar problem. They think that desalination will solve the problem of the water, but they do not even know that when they do the desalination, the fishermen in that coastal area lose their livelihood.
How, sir?
The Saudi Arabia, there are studies, the fish productivity comes down.
Okay.
That is where the other problem comes. That's
desilting of lakes.
No, desalination, removing the salt and when you take out the water and all those things and create the system and dispose your all the rejects into the system, you are making then the species which they have the salinity gradient, tolerance level. We are crossing that. That is where our study shows whenever we have intervened, the productivity of the fish has come down, which has affected the people in the vicinity of these estuaries and in one of the estuaries in Karnataka, we have done the study in Aganashni, which has become a Ramsar wetland of international importance on 30th January. There are 7,000 fishermen families are dependent on the estuary for their livelihood. Government doesn't invest anything. If you look at the productivity of the fish, the estuary in the form of fish, sand, salt, etc., it amounts to about the 11 lakh rupees per hectare per year. Okay. And if you look at other benefit like carbon sequestration, cultural service, it comes to about the 50 lakh rupees per hectare per year. This is one of the most productive ecosystem. Instead of maintaining that to sustain the life of the 7,000 fishermen family, we think of putting some large-scale project in the name of development, which is going to deprive the local people their right to life. Only few sections of the societies might get the benefit of the development, but all the other local people, they have the pollutant in the system and they'll pay. Whatever the benefit of development we are talking in the thing, I have seen people spending it for their health. You know, the higher instances of heart-related problem in Bengaluru city, kidney failure, cancer, psychological disorder. These are all the indication of the unplanned urbanization. At least today we have to wake up and see that we change the system. And we need to do it on priority. That's where I said scientists, society, and all of us have to join hand and do that, make that happen in our system. And let us first select a right person when there is a voting and assert our thing. Yeah, let us assert and make sure that voting, you know, that's a wonderful day in our life. We should go, and that is the festival we should celebrate. That is the day, you know, the Christmas, the Ramzan and Ugadi, everything put together is the election day. That will give the prosperity for the region. That's where we celebrated Ugadi on the day when this Sankranti, when we got the bountiful of harvest thing. That is what we need to see our country also have that kind of the
it's a good
thing.
Perspective.
That's the thing. Yeah.
What you're saying, sir. So, and apart from that, what about the private misuse of tankers? Now, you know, the costs are doubling and people, particularly in the IT corridors, like, you know, Whitefield, etc., are facing acute crisis because I think Bartur village has about 45,000 odd people staying there, and all of them are facing this groundwater, water crisis. So,
the indication, the tankers are tanker mafia, real estate agencies are real estate mafia. These are all the bane to the society. You know, when they are showing their muscle power, it means that the executive mechanism and legislative system in the region has failed miserably. You know, had they worked, and the judiciary also. You know, the person who encroached the lake bed to get evicted, it may happen in my lifetime, may not happen also. The judiciary system should have been more efficient. And that's where there has to be a reform. You know, that technologies are available. I do not understand why the cases of encroachment should run it for a decade, 10 or 12 years in our country. You know, in Bengaluru, where the encroachment has happened, I am in the NGT panel, I see the problem of that. That is because of the government agencies do not cooperate with the judiciary, and judiciary also keeps on postponing the thing. And finally, these mafias have the thing. See, wherever there is a gap in legislative mechanism and executive mechanism and judiciary, you know, these mafias will take advantage. Now, coming to your question of the water mafia, very unfortunate. We should not have the mafia. You know, water mafia, truck mafia on the road, and the real estate mafia. See, that is where planning becomes the important thing. Had we planned the system, the mafias wouldn't have trouble. See, when BWSSB was doing a wonderful job before 90s, I had not heard of the tankers at the time. The city had enough water and the city was well planned. Look at Jayanagar, Baswangudi, well planned ward. The day when globalization started in our country, in the name of development, we gave the city to the real estate mafia and the water mafia. In the process, probably the executive mechanism and the legislative the system might have got benefit because of the loopholes in the system through the corruption and illegal practices. But unfortunately, they have become so strong, they are dictating the terms. So that is where the government has to intervene and see that the water is supplied to everyone, irrespective of their economic status, irrespective of their religion, irrespective of the caste. It should happen. Irrespective of the status. It is not that only Sadashivnagar or the Dollars Colony people should get the water.
Yeah, there is a lot of unequal distribution of
people
water
like
now.
us also should get the water. See, let us do the auditing of the water in the city, what is available. Make it distributed equally and through the proper mechanism. Let us even take the help of the defense forces if required. Let us remove these mafias from the system. The day when we eliminate the mafias, the water mafia, the real estate mafia from the system, we will have sustainability in the system. We will have the resources for our children. We will have a livable city for our children. You know, otherwise we are going to pay the price.
So the idea is to make Bangalore a mega city. So that is the reason why we are seeing a lot of this real estate, sector taking over, as mafias.
See, unfortunate.
So,
No,
now
this
with
is
the water crisis, beyond this, I mean, can Bangalore grow?
See, this model is a very unfortunate model adopted by a section of the society which benefits them. See, we should think about decongesting the city now. The 1055% increase in the paved surfaces, losing 88% vegetation cover, 79% of water body, clearly shows that Bangalore growth has happened beyond its carrying capacity. Okay, any region to be livable, you should not cross the threshold of the carrying capacity. Now we need to decongest the city. We need to shift the major installation out of the Bangalore to other regions. Okay, other districts, so that districts get the benefit. See, that's what Mahatma Gandhi ji talked about. Cluster-based development, depending on the resources available.
So won't there be social disruptions? Sir?
No, there is no disruption. Rather, there will be the holistic development happen. Everyone get the benefit of the development. Say, for example, in the region where the cotton is grown, garment industry is coming up there is better than garment industry in Bangalore. Those girls who work in garment industries are being abused every day. Pathetic situation. Instead of that, had they been there in their village, near the village, they would have worked in the garment industry during the weekdays, and the weekend they would have done the farming, etc. To understand this, let us go to the Tamil Nadu. Tanjavur, Kumbakonam, Tiruvallur, the triangular junction, the towns are there. Villagers from the surrounding area come and work in the town, and they work during the weekdays. During weekends, they do the farming. 65% of our country is farmers. If we adopt that model, don't you think there is a prosperity? That model is working in that region is mainly because of the better infrastructure, better connectivity. So that's where the people come to the town, they work and they go back to the thing. In the process, town is not densified. What Bangalore we did is we put everything in Bangalore. Why not to other region? Now is the time to do the reverse migration. We attracted all the youth from other places to the Bangalore. We created a slum. Let us now think of the reverse migration. We will create the opportunity for the youth in the villages. Where the intelligent kids are there, like Hubli, Dharwad, the South Canara. Let us have IT sector there. Where hardworking the people are there, the North Karnataka. Let us have the machinery, tools, etc. and the cotton industries.
So is this a viable solution to decongest the city and see changes?
If not today, we have to do it tomorrow.
Okay.
There is no other way of escape. That's how the European countries work. That's how our countries, some of the places are prospering is because of that. Earlier leader had a vision. The vision is to meet the demands of the society and make everyone happy. Today's leaders have a mission to loot and mismanage the thing. That is the unfortunate thing. We should not allow the democracy being misused by the current section of the rulers. We need to be alert, we should assert, and that's where our responsibility comes to the picture. Cluster-based development is the thing which is being promoted throughout the country now. Let us take advantage of that. When the new highways are created, on the adjacent the thing closer to the villages, let us create the industries so that the villages have the benefit of the thing. Instead of they coming to Bangalore and elderly people being at home in the villages, they're struggling with the farming, the youth being there, you will have higher farm productivity as well as the industrial productivity. So the GDP of the country goes up. It is not necessarily just from Bangalore. Let us make entire country the model of cluster-based development. The things work in our country. And our youth is very enterprising, very talented, and the current improvement in the technology has really empowered them to be stalwarts. So let us make them to take the advantage of that. Let us remove all the anomalies in the system. I think let us take the benefit of the current crisis and assert and see that we are managed better.
So thank you so much, Professor T.V. Ramachandra, for giving us a very comprehensive approach. And I'm sure the viewers would, have sought some kind of, comfort and something that, through the solutions that you've given us. So I thank you so much.
See, my agenda is to see that every child has the right to life with the adequate air and clean air and water and the environment.
Yeah, everything
We
goes
require
hand
the
in hand.
environment.
Yeah.
See, we could do the good science in IISc, it is because of the environment. We are number one in the country and one among the top 100 is because of that. That same environment has to be replicated in other wards in the city and other parts in the country. So let us make the country and manage it properly. Okay.
I think, sir, you would want to conclude? You can conclude. Sir.
Yeah. Thank you very much for giving an opportunity so that I could give my opinion. I hope this will work. As we got independence, I am sure these things will work in our country. And at the end of the day, we will see that water and smile on every child's face.
Yes, sir. And as every drop of water counts, so I'm sure that, the solutions that you've given are all practical and we should follow that. And I hope your, your suggestions are heard even with, the rulers as well.
If they have not heard, we will make them to hear it through our children. That will be much more forceful than what I am saying now. They should wake up today with these voices, sane voices. If they don't do it, our children will assert, but that day will be too tough for them to face them. Crisis will make the people stalwarts.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sir.